You don't decide anything anymore. The house is no longer yours. The car was a gift. And me. I'm with him now. Get used to it. That's what my wife said to me. Right after she opened the door of another man's apartment, in my hoodie, with his fingerprints still all over her neck. I stood there speechless. I had just come back from a business trip. 3 days ago, that woman kissed me goodbye and said, "Miss you already, baby." And now? She was looking me in the eye like a stranger. Like I was the intruder in a life she'd stolen from me. There was a for sale sign on our front lawn. My car was missing, and now my wife was telling me, with a smile, that it was all over, and that I didn't matter anymore. And the worst part? That coward was standing behind her, shirtless, smirking, wearing my watch. They thought I'd break, that I'd walk away quietly. I did walk away, but I didn't break. I left behind scorched earth, and they're still living in the shadow of what I did next. The strange thing about betrayal is that it never starts with an explosion. It begins in whispers. And now, standing outside that stranger's apartment, I replayed every single whisper she thought I hadn't heard. Madison started changing 2 months before that moment at the door. I didn't see it then, or maybe I didn't want to. But looking back, everything was obvious. She used to send me texts during the day, thinking of you red heart, can't wait for tonight, made your favorite for dinner. That kind of warmth, fake or not, felt real. Then suddenly, she went cold. Sorry, busy. No time tonight. Late at work. 3 words. Always 3. And never a word more. I remember the first time she said she was going to a friend's birthday. It was a Thursday. We always watched that dumb crime show together on Thursdays, the one where the detective looks like my old gym coach. But that night, she was out till 1:30 a.m., reeking of perfume that wasn't hers, a kind of musk, male, sharp. When I asked who was there, she rolled her eyes. It was all girls. You don't need to be jealous every time I leave the house, Jason. I wasn't jealous. I was suspicious. But I nodded, because that's what husbands do. Then came the gym membership. She hated gyms. Always said, I don't sweat for fun. Now suddenly, she was working out 6 days a week and posting filtered mirror selfies with captions like, strong is sexy. That's when I met Aiden. She introduced him like he was just another trainer. Babe, this is Aiden, my new coach. Don't worry, he's harmless. He shook my hand like he wanted to crush it. His smirk said everything. But again, I played the fool. She started wearing lingerie I hadn't seen before, under sweatpants. She bought new colognes and told me it was just for me, but she never wore them when we were together. She had glowing skin and tired eyes. She was glowing for someone else. Tired from someone else. I remember the night that really snapped something inside me. It was a Saturday. I made dinner, grilled salmon, her favorite, and lit candles. I even shaved, wore the stupid cologne she got me for our anniversary. She came home 2 hours late, looking stunned like she forgot where she lived. Oh, is this tonight? She asked. No apology. No smile. Just that flat tone and eyes that didn't meet mine. She barely touched her food. Claimed she had a headache. Went to bed without a word. I sat alone at that table for an hour, staring at her untouched plate, wondering when she started disappearing in front of me. The next morning, I checked her phone. Yeah, I know. That's the moment trust breaks for real. But when one person burns the bridge, the other's just walking through smoke trying to breathe. She had changed her passcode. It used to be our wedding date. Now I was locked out. From her phone. From her life. Something inside me clicked. I didn't scream. I didn't confront. I started preparing. Watching. Recording. Backing up files. I called a friend in IT and had him run a scan on our shared laptop. What I found shattered me. Dozens of messages between her and Aiden. Photos. Voice notes. A video, one I wish I could erase from my memory. She called him my king. She called me the roommate. And yet every morning she'd kiss my cheek, pour me coffee, ask about my day like she was still mine. She wasn't. She hadn't been for a long time. So I packed my rage into silence. Went on that final business trip pretending everything was fine. Let her believe she had fooled me completely. She thought I was still the man she could lie to. But the man coming back from Denver? He wasn't coming home. He was coming for war.by the time I stepped off that flight from Denver. I wasn't a husband anymore. I was a loaded weapon with a fake smile. Every mile I flew brought me closer not to my wife, but to the final act of her performance. I didn't text her. I didn't call. Let her think I'd be home tomorrow like my itinerary said. I wanted to catch her in the act. Not because I needed proof, I had mountains of it. I wanted her to look me in the eye and lie one more time. I needed to see it. Needed to remember who she really was, not who I wanted her to be. The Uber pulled up to the house, my house, and I saw that bright red, "For sale" sign stabbing into the front lawn. Like it was mocking me. Like the house itself had given up on me. My car? Gone. The same car we bought together 3 years ago after her promotion. The one she called our baby. Now probably parked outside Aiden's apartment, carrying his gym bags and protein tubs. I tried the front door. Locked. Tried my key. Didn't fit. She changed the locks. That was the final confirmation. Not the texts, not the video, not even the new lingerie receipts I found on our joint credit card. No. It was the click of that deadbolt turning me into a stranger in my own home. I didn't knock. I didn't beg. I turned around, walked 3 blocks, and called a friend who owed me a favor, someone with access to private records. I gave him Aiden's full name, address, license plate. 30 minutes later, I stood at the door of Aiden's apartment. I could already hear the low thump of bass through the walls. I didn't hesitate. I knocked twice. The door opened slowly, and there she was. Madison, wearing my hoodie, the gray one she always stole from my closet after we argued, pretending it made her feel safe. She didn't look shocked. She looked mildly annoyed. "Jason," she sighed. "You're early." That's what she had to say. Not, "Oh my God." Not, "Please, let me explain." Just, "You're early." Behind her, Aiden stood in the hallway, shirtless again. Always shirtless, like he was allergic to respect. He leaned against the wall, arms crossed, smirking like this was a joke. And then Madison stepped out, closed the door halfway behind her, and said the words that turned my stomach inside out. "You don't decide anything anymore. The house is no longer yours. The car was a gift. And me. I'm with him now. Get used to it." I didn't flinch. Didn't blink. I just stared at her, trying to find the woman I once knew. She wasn't there. That woman, the one who once cried in my arms when her mom passed away, who danced with me barefoot in the kitchen on New Year's Eve, was dead. This was someone else. Cold. Calculated. Cruel. "You planned this," I said quietly. "You emptied the joint account. You transferred the deed. You let me leave town just so you could lock me out." She didn't deny it. She didn't look sorry. "I just did what I had to do," she said. "We both knew this wasn't working. You were gone all the time. You stopped being present." That's when I laughed. A bitter, low, broken sound. "You think cheating fixes that?" I asked. "You think selling our home behind my back is justifiable because I had to work?" Her eyes narrowed. She leaned in, whispering so her precious Aiden wouldn't hear. "I don't owe you anything, Jason. You were just safe. But I got bored. Safe." That word stung more than any curse. She used my loyalty as her excuse for betrayal. I stepped back, heart racing not from pain, but from rage held on a leash. "You'll regret this," I said. She smirked. "No, I won't." I walked away that night. Quiet. Calm. But what she didn't know was that my revenge had already started. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in a hotel room downtown, staring at the ceiling while city lights flickered across the drywall like ghosts. The TV was on mute. My phone was in airplane mode. I didn't want noise. I wanted silence, the kind you can sharpen like a knife. Madison thought I would scream, beg, maybe even cry. That I'd show up at the door every day like some pathetic ex-husband still clinging to hope. That was her mistake, thinking I was still the man she married. She forgot who I was before her. Before the suits. Before the meetings. Before I built a life around her comfort. I was raised by a single mom in a roach-infested apartment. I clawed my way up from nothing. I've been hungry, alone, betrayed, but never weak. And now? Now she gave me a reason to remember how far I'd come and how much I could take away when I wanted to. My revenge wouldn't be loud. It would be surgical, quiet, precise, irreversible. The first thing I did was call my lawyer, Frank Russo. The man wore $3,000 suits and never blinked. We met that morning at a diner. He ordered black coffee and read my notes like a man reviewing a blueprint for war. "You still own the LLC?" he said, eyebrows raised. "She filed to sell the house under your name, using power of attorney from 2021, expired. Illegal." I felt something twist in my chest. "She forged it." "She's bold," he said, "but stupid." Then he leaned in, voice dropping to a whisper like we were sitting in a crime movie. "Let me handle the legal side. You make sure you don't do anything permanent." That was Frank's way of saying, don't kill them. Tempting. But I wasn't after blood. I was after ruin. That evening, I showed up to the gym where Aiden worked, posing as a potential investor. See, I knew something Madison didn't. Aiden was planning to open his own place. She was helping fund it with my money, or what she thought was hers after liquidating our savings. Aiden had no clue who I was when we shook hands. He walked me through his vision clean lines, protein shake bar, influencer-friendly layout. I nodded, smiled. Then I dropped the bomb. Madison and I are still married, I said casually, like it didn't mean anything. His face tightened. She said you were gone. I laughed. Yeah, I heard that. He tried to save face. Look, man, I didn't know the whole story. Of course not, I said. But here's what you need to know now. Everything she gave you? Every cent? That's traceable. That's marital property. That gym you're building? It's half mine. His mouth opened, closed. He looked like a fish gasping for oxygen. I leaned in close, real calm. You ever try to build something with stolen bricks, Aiden? Doesn't stand long. He didn't speak. He knew. I left him sweating behind the desk, already dialing Madison's number with shaking fingers. Next move, I contacted the realtor selling our house. She didn't know a thing, just followed Madison's instructions. I showed up with legal paperwork, voiding the entire transaction. Locked it down. Froze the account Madison tried to route the sale through. By the time she called me, her voice was frantic. Hysterical. You had no right. You gave up your rights, I said. The second you opened that door wearing my hoodie. She went silent. Good. Consider this your first taste, I added. You wanted war. I was built for it. Click. I didn't yell. I didn't threaten. I just removed her oxygen. Bit by bit. No warning. No mercy. No peace. She wanted to erase me? I'd show her what it feels like to be truly invisible, standing in the ashes of a life she thought she'd stolen. Revenge isn't about noise. It's about momentum. And once it starts, it doesn't stop. Within a week, Madison's carefully crafted empire began to crack like thin glass. She thought she was in control, that she'd flip the board, and I'd just sit there, stunned, trying to figure out how to pick up the pieces. What she didn't realize was I made the board. First, I hid her credit. Quietly. Efficiently. We had joint accounts, joint cards, and, until recently, shared financial futures. I'd always been the one managing the bills, the payments, the investments. She never bothered to learn where the money came from, only how to spend it. So I froze everything. Legally. Froze the house sale. Froze the savings. Froze the account she was pulling from to pay for gym equipment, contractors, rent on Aiden's new location. That shiny dream gym they were building? Dead. Contractors walked off mid-paint job. Lease defaulted. Power shut off. I made one anonymous call to the health inspector. Told them I heard about mold in the studio's back room. Aiden's place was shut down for further evaluation within 48 hours. Madison called 3 times that day. I didn't answer. She texted instead. You're being petty. Grow up. Followed by, this isn't helping either of us. Either of us? That line made me laugh so hard I had to sit down. She wasn't worried about us. She was watching everything fall apart and realizing she was never built for this kind of fight. She could cheat, lie, manipulate, but go to war? No, she didn't have the stomach for it. Then came the big one, the fallout with her family. Her sister, Megan, always loved me. Said I was the only man she ever trusted around Madison. I didn't even have to say anything. One look at the receipts, the screenshots, the photo of Madison wearing that black silk robe outside Aiden's building, it was enough. Megan called her a disgrace. Her father stopped answering her calls. Her mother blocked her. Suddenly, her safety net disappeared. The one she'd always kept tucked under her. Gone. By the end of week 2, she was spiraling. Aiden had pulled back too. I knew because I had someone watching him. A guy I once helped get out of a jam, now returning the favor. He sent me a photo of Aiden walking out of a bar alone, pacing on the phone. They were fighting. That night, she finally cracked. She showed up at my hotel, banged on the door like a cop with a warrant. I opened it slowly. She stood there, drenched in rain, mascara running, hair wild. I didn't come here to beg, she started. I just want to talk. I let her in. She looked around like it was a foreign country, like she'd forgotten what my world looked like without her in it. Everything's falling apart, she said. You're not hurting just me. You're hurting yourself. I poured a glass of water and handed it to her. I'm not hurting, I said. I'm healing. She scoffed. You call this healing? Destroying everything we built. I looked her dead in the eyes. You destroyed it. I'm just making sure the rubble lands where it should. She went quiet. For the first time, she looked small. Not powerful. Not confident. Just broken. But not the kind of broken that earned sympathy. The kind that deserved it. You think he's staying with you after this? I asked. He's already looking for the exit. She flinched. I stood up. Walked to the door. I didn't invite you in, I said coldly. You broke in. Just like you did to my life. She hesitated, waiting for a sign, any sign, that I still cared. There was none. She walked out. Back into the rain. Alone. That night, I slept for the first time in weeks. Be why now, Madison was unraveling. Every thread she had carefully stitched together, the lie about the car being a gift, the new start, with her gym rat lover, the bold declarations at the apartment door, they were falling apart like wet paper in her hands. But I wasn't done. There was still one card left to play. And his name was Aiden. See, most guys would have stopped after destroying the relationship and the finances. But I wanted more than revenge. I wanted clarity. I wanted to know what kind of man she'd thrown everything away for. The truth. Not just about her, but about him. The so-called alpha who wore my hoodie and lived off stolen comfort. So I dug. Turns out, Aiden had more than muscles and tattoos. He had a record. Back in 2017, he was picked up for assault. Dropped after a plea deal, but the details were still there: bar fight, a woman involved, broken jaw. It painted a very different picture from the gentle trainer vibe he sold to Madison. Even better? He had debt. Stupid, reckless debt. Credit cards maxed out. Payday loans. The guy was living check to check, hiding behind filters and motivational quotes on Instagram. Madison hadn't just betrayed me, she'd traded me down. And when I found out he was texting another woman behind Madison's back, a 21-year-old yoga instructor named Lexi, I had everything I needed. I reached out to Lexi anonymously, sent her screenshots of Aiden and Madison, the gym launch, the house drama, even a snapshot of them entering a hotel. Lexi didn't take it well. She posted the screenshots publicly, with names tagged. The fallout? Spectacular. Within hours, Aiden's comments were on fire. Half the women he trained had blocked him. One even demanded her money back. His brand, which was barely a spark, went up in flames. But the real masterpiece was Madison's reaction. She showed up at the old house, which, thanks to Frank, was still legally mine and very much not for sale. I had just returned from a morning run when I saw her sitting on the porch, face puffy, hair messy, clutching a Starbucks cup like it could undo the mess she'd made. I need to talk, she said softly. I leaned against the doorway. Calm. Dry. Composed. About Aiden? I asked, raising an eyebrow. She nodded slowly. He used me. He lied to me. He said. I cut her off. You don't get to play the victim now. You made your bed, Madison. Don't act surprised it's on fire. She looked up at me, eyes searching for the man I used to be. The man who would have wrapped her in a towel, made her tea, told her everything would be okay. But that man? She buried him. I stepped aside just enough to point toward the driveway. You can leave now, I said. Or I can have you removed. Jason. You stole from me. Lied to me. Slept with a con artist wearing my clothes and called it love. You don't get my sympathy. Not anymore. She stood up, shoulders shaking. I thought he was different. I nodded once. So did I. She walked away slowly, broken heels clicking against concrete like distant gunshots. And for the first time, I felt it, not anger, not grief. Freedom. I had dragged myself through every level of pain, betrayal, rage, and came out clean on the other side. Aiden was exposed. Madison was humiliated. The house was mine. And my life? Mine again. But I wasn't done just yet. There was still one thing left to do. I didn't plan for things to end like this. But then again, I didn't plan for betrayal either. After everything I'd uncovered, exposed, and taken back, you'd think I'd feel satisfied. But no. There was one more thing left. One more nail for Madison and her disaster of a life. One last strike to make sure they never forgot what they did to me. I wasn't interested in violence. That's amateur stuff. No, I wanted to hit where it hurts most, their reputations. So I began where it all started, social media. While Madison had been so busy posing in front of gym mirrors and pretending she was living her best life, I had been collecting everything, all her fake posts, her lies, the stolen money, the transfers to Aiden, the emails she sent to realtors pretending to be me, every document, every message, every damning receipt. Neatly organized. Timestamped. I created a clean, anonymous Instagram account. Just one post. The truth about Madison and Aiden. It contained a series of photos. Screenshots of conversations, proof of bank fraud, photos of Aiden with Lexi, and even a video clip, the one from my laptop, the one I never wanted to see again. I blurred the worst parts. I wasn't trying to be obscene. I was trying to be unforgettable. I posted it late at night, 11:43 p.m. By 9 a.m., it had over 4,000 shares. By noon, it was on Reddit. By 4 p.m., the gym announced that Aiden was no longer affiliated with the brand. And Madison? She tried to fight back, claimed it was fake, said it was edited, but it didn't matter. People love a scandal, especially when it's real. She got dragged in every comment section from LA to New York. Friends unfollowed her. Brands she once begged to sponsor her blocked her. She called me that night, 3 times. I answered on the 4th ring, just to hear the panic. "You've ruined me," she hissed. "No," I said calmly. "You ruined yourself. I just turned the lights on. You think this makes you better than me?" "No," I replied. "It makes me free." Silence. Then a choked breath. I lost everything. I paused, staring out the window at the skyline. Calm. Detached. "Welcome to my world, Madison." I lived there for months. Then I hung up. I expected to feel something: joy, triumph, closure. But what I felt instead was relief. It was over. She'd been exposed for who she really was. Aiden, too. And for the first time in a long time, I wasn't carrying someone else's lies on my back. A week later, I met Megan, Madison's sister, for coffee. We hadn't spoken since the fallout. I saw everything she said, setting down her latte. And I just wanted to say, thank you for showing the truth. I nodded, sipping my coffee. Didn't think I'd end up the villain and the hero. She smiled. You didn't. You ended up free. That word again. Free. It echoed inside me like a bell ringing in an empty cathedral. Madison was quiet after that. No more calls. No more texts. Just gone. Like smoke. The silence she left behind was the best gift she ever gave me. I moved into a new place. Something smaller. Just mine. No memories attached. No echoes of a woman who lied through her teeth while sleeping in my bed. And as I unpacked the last box, I found something strange. A photo of us, one I must have missed when I burned the others. She was laughing in it. Natural. Unaware. I stared at it for a moment, then dropped it into the trash. Some things don't deserve to be remembered. It's funny how you think you know someone, how you trust them, love them, build a life around them. And then one day, they open a door in someone else's apartment wearing your hoodie and say, you don't decide anything anymore. That moment replays in my head less and less now. But it's etched into me, like a scar. Not one I hide, one I own. After everything, the betrayal, the lies, the revenge, the fire I left behind, I've finally stepped outside the smoke. And this is what I know now. 1. Love isn't enough. I loved Madison. I showed up. I provided. I gave her stability, consistency, loyalty, all the things people say they want. But it wasn't enough. Because love without respect is just a pretty noose. She didn't want a partner, she wanted a mirror. Someone to reflect her fantasy back to her. And when I stopped doing that, she went searching for someone who would. 2. Silence is a weapon. I didn't scream when she told me she was with him now. I didn't beg, didn't punch walls or cry in public. I went quiet. And in that silence, I built my strategy. While she was busy playing with fire, I was collecting the gasoline. People underestimate a man who doesn't react. That's their mistake. 3. Pain sharpens you, if you let it. There were nights I wanted to disappear. Nights I stared at hotel ceilings wondering what I did wrong, how I missed the signs, how I let someone like her lie to my face for so long. But I didn't collapse. I used that pain like a grindstone. I let it strip me down, then I built myself back. Smarter, colder, stronger. 4. Some people only love you when you're useful. Madison loved the idea of me, the version that bought her things, praised her dreams, protected her ego. But the moment I stopped serving her narrative, she rewrote the script. Without me in it. Aiden wasn't better than me. He was just newer, simpler, easier to manipulate. A warm body with a smile and no expectations. A man too shallow to see the deep end coming. And when it came, it drowned them both. 5. Closure isn't something they give you. It's something you take. I never got an apology. Not a real one. Madison tried to spin it as confusion, as finding herself. But betrayal is a choice, not a phase. And forgiveness isn't something I owe to a liar just because she's sorry things didn't work out in her favor. I burned the last photo. The last memory. and I didn't flinch. Today, I live in a small apartment with big windows. I cook my own dinners. I sleep better. I laugh more. I started writing again, something I gave up during our marriage. Turns out, I like my own company. I still see couples holding hands sometimes and wonder, do they know what it takes? Do they know how fragile trust really is? But I don't look at love with bitterness. Just caution and clarity. If I could speak to the version of me standing on that porch months ago, stunned, betrayed, locked out of his own life, I'd say this. Let her go. Don't chase ghosts. Don't argue with liars. Burn the blueprint and build something new. From scratch. For you. Because sometimes, rock bottom isn't a place you fall. It's the place you launch from. And in the ruins they left behind, I found myself again.